Real quick, I'll just tell you a little bit about my background and where I come from. So yes, I'm 55. I joined the Army Reserve, went to basic training August the 3rd of 1982. So I spent the first 20 plus years of my career in the reserves. And then the last 17, I've been on active duty. Been to Afghanistan twice. Been in multiple leadership roles. I've been a company first sergeant 4 times. Been an operations sergeant major, and I am currently teach Army ROTC freshman, University of Southern Miss. And one of the things I love to do is teach. I love to talk. So I'm going to value your time this morning. I'm an extreme extrovert. If you ever get around me, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Um, so one of the things that throughout my career I was able to go to was MRT, Master Resilient Training School. And the Army did not come up with this program. They actually got it from the University of Pennsylvania. And then so they're the ones who were teaching us. So I'm actually a level 2, which means I can be a facilitator, and lots and lots and lots of good information. So this is just kind of the initial upfront competencies that we're going to talk about today. And due to the fact that my PowerPoint failed me this morning, I'm able to feed off a PDF file. So that's what we're going to kind of work off today. Somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen here. All right, there we go. Appreciate it. So what I'd like to do, again, I love to hear myself talk. I actually tape myself and I listen to myself talk at night to go to sleep. Helps me sleep better. That's how much I love to talk. And that is no lie. I asked Lewis, I love to talk. So what I'd like to do this morning, I'll throw some questions out for you because I love to gain the perspective of other people. We all come from different walks of life, different places, some from the north, south, east, and west. You wouldn't think there's that much difference, but I was born and raised in upstate New York. I had no idea what grits were. We don't have Waffle Houses in New York. So until you work your way to the south, that you really, truly understand some things. So the differences. So resilience and competencies. Resilience, here's what the definition is: grow and thrive in the face of challenges, bounce back from adversity, build core competencies that enable mental toughness, optimal performance, strong leadership, and goal achievement. That's really this big definition that we have overall. And the Army has 14 completely different competencies that we actually teach. It's about a 40-hour course that we're to sit down and teach somebody and go through each skill. That's not to master the skill. That's just to understand exactly, what the skill is. And I'm going to ask a quick question. Just unmute yourself. You know the answer. Has anybody ever heard of this skill or the term hunt the good stuff? Everybody's quiet on me. Can't be quiet. Time to talk.
Hunt the good stuff.
Yes.
That's just life. What we were taught, right?
Okay. So here's what the hunt the good stuff is: a skill we teach people. And what the skill is at the end of each day, you'll take a piece of paper and a pen and you'll write down 3 good things that happened to you for the day. So we all know that in this day and age, and any day and age, many things happen to us on a daily basis. We just get covered up with things. Life happens. You wake up and life is okay. And in a moment's notice, life may not be okay. So that is a skill. It's called hunt the good stuff. So this is free, no charge for this one. If you struggle with not being able to turn your brain off at night, keep a notepad and a paper by your bed and sit down and write down, reflect on the day, 3 good things that happened to you. Because the bad things are going to show up regardless of what happens. If we don't focus on the positive that happens, then we're just going to focus on everything that's negative. And then as you work your way through this skill, you're not going to have to sit down every night and write out, what you did. And if you happen to have younger children, this is another freebie. I stopped asking my children when they came home from school, how was your day? I started asking my children specific questions. Hey, tell me 2 good things that happened to you today. So now I've changed the mindset from focusing on what's bad in the day, the teacher this kid that, this person this person that, to what good things happen to you. So now as they think and they focus on the good, guess what I'm able to do? I'm able to take what they say and I'm able to expand on what good thing that they do. So now I'm talking to my child about good things that's happened to them today. They're not knowing what I'm doing to them, but I'm forcing that brain to get away from the negative teacher and that kid and focus on here's something good that happened to us today. I'm telling you, if you don't think anything bad's going on, cut the news on and look at it and you'll see things that are bad. But you know what? If we stay focused on that, we're going to be on the struggle bus. If we focus on the positive things that's going on in our lives, and sometimes I'm telling you, and we all know as adults, it's hard to look back at the day and think, what? And that good thing may be macaroni and cheese that you had for lunch. You know, that might be it, but focus on something that's good. And so anyway, build core competencies, mental toughness, optimal performance, strong leadership, and goal achievement. That's 4 things that we need to be successful in this business. I am not a marketing expert, you know, in the multi-level marketing world like Ryan, and I've listened to them talk about teams that they built, statuses that they've reached. I've not achieved that, but in my career in the military, I've accomplished a lot of these, that mental toughness, that optimal performance, that strong leadership, and set goals on things I want to accomplish in my life. So let's just keep on a trucking. So here's a question for the class. You're going to be my class today. More than 3 words. What word, give me a word if you would, just unmute yourself. Give me a word or words that describe resilience.
Tenacity.
Okay, tenacity. What else we got? I'm going to start calling on y'all if you don't unmute yourself and start talking.
I was thinking perseverance, but I think that goes with tenacity too.
Yes, absolutely.
Never give up.
Say again?
Never give up.
Never give up.
Faith.
Faith.
Bouncing back.
Bouncing back. That's it. Bouncing back. Be a tennis ball. That's what we teach. Be a tennis ball. In my PowerPoint that didn't work, there's a picture of a tennis ball and an egg. An egg is a one-time use. You know, I think growing up before we had PlayStations and phones, I'll admit that there's potential that I threw some eggs. I got real good at egging cars off the highway. You know, I should have been a mortar guy because I could fire for effect a dozen eggs and run really quick. But they're a one-time use. A tennis ball is you can throw it as hard as you want and hit it as hard as you want, and it's going to come back to you. Any other words that describe resilience?
Recoverability.
Recoverability. That's a great word. What else? Somebody hasn't said nothing yet. Come on, there's a lot out there.
Adaptability.
Adaptability. Absolutely. Anything else? Great words. Great things that describe resilience. You know, resilience is a buzzword nowadays. I haven't been watching professional sports due to my own personal reasons, but you'll see things and you'll hear things that people will say, oh, this team is resilient and this person's resilient and we're resilient people. We're going to be able to overcome what's going on. So that resilience is a buzzword. Well, what I don't want it to do is just be another word in our vocabulary that we just throw out. It's one of them things that if we really take to heart, are we going to have setbacks? Absolutely. Are we going to bring people and strive to bring people into our organization that are not going to come? Absolutely. Are we going to have, and it's happened to me. I've had people make commitments that they're going to join our organization and then I don't hear from them. You know, are we going to worry about, again, that one person, or are we going to look at the fact that there's 6.5 billion people in the world, 6.5 billion, and we have the ability to reach a good number of them. So again, big picture. So let's keep scrolling down here. We're going to skip all this right here. We're going to hit our first competence. So there's 6 of them. Again, resilience is the ability to thrive and grow in the face of challenges and bounce back from adversity. Question for the group. If we all had the same adversity in our lives, pick an adversity, we all had the same adversity. Is it going to affect all of us the same, or is it going to affect us differently?
Differently, for sure.
Yeah.
Differently. Yeah.
Differently. And why would it affect us differently?
Maybe my level of resiliency.
Okay.
I think we all have a different come from.
That's a true statement.
Yeah.
If you have never owned a pet and someone else has owned a pet and a pet passes away, it's going to affect us differently. I had a full-blood chow that I was able to get, hate to use that word get, from my ex-wife, but she wasn't able to take care of my dog. And I ended up being able to take care of her and love. Her name was Taz, female, named her Taz. I don't know why. Probably because I got a Tasmanian devil on my arm. That's what I look like when I was a drill sergeant. But that I loved my dog. I mean, and when I had to put her down, man, it just broke my heart. Well, you know, there's people out here that putting a dog down or whatever phases them. Not at all. They just go to the pound and get another one. Whereas some of us, it strikes us a little harder. So when adversity comes, we're all going to face it and see it differently. So here's my first competency, do a time check. So self-awareness. Self-awareness is identifying thoughts, emotions, and behavior, identifying patterns in thinking, particularly counterproductive pattern, be open and curious. Give me an example of counterproductive pattern or counterproductive thinking.
Fear.
Say again?
Fear.
Fear. Fear of failure. You ever set up passwords and they're like, what's your greatest fear? Mine is failure. That's what one of my passwords. So if you hack into my computer and the question is, well, you know, what's one of your greatest fears? You know what it is. And of course, if your vacation spot is cruises, so now you know 2 out of the 4 of my questions. So I know somebody may have thrown something in the chat. Oh yeah, I can. I was reading what he says. Oh yeah, definitely on the drill sergeant thing. Oh yeah, I can scare some folks. If we ever get together and y'all want me to impersonate one, it's a light switch. So fear, I tell people it's not personal. I could turn it on right now and just start yelling. The veins in my neck stick out and my hands going and I'm shaking. Yeah, I could definitely, I scare some folks. But counterproductive pattern thinking, fears is a good one where you're afraid of trying something new. And we'll get down to that here in just a minute. But identifying my thoughts and emotions, I have to know, and the icon that's used on this is a mirror. It's Richard looking in the mirror and identifying my thoughts, identifying my emotions, identifying my behaviors. That's me. That's not my wife pointing them out to me. That's not somebody else pointing them out. That's me identifying. It's that self-awareness. I have to know what my hot buttons are. You know, I do have hot buttons. My class all know that my wife is one of my hot buttons. Being disrespectful to her, messing around with her, saying something to her, doing something to her. I go from 0 to be very frustrated and upset. I stay away from the angry guy because I'm 6'3", 255 pounds. And I'm a gun-toting American. As long as I'm not somewhere I'm not allowed to have one, I've got one on me. So I know that is something I have to be very aware of, people being disrespectful, saying things, you know, to my wife. So let's move to the next one, self-regulation. Regulate my impulses, my emotions, my physiology, behaviors that achieve goals. Express emotions appropriately. Stop counterproductive thinking. What's counterproductive thinking? What do you think? Come on.
I would say I know what counterproductive thinking is for me. Imagining the outcome before I execute the action,
Okay.
talking myself out of something. So for example, and procrastination.
Hmm.
Actually listening to a guy on procrastination right now, but those are two very real things I think in people's lives, certainly are in mine.
Okay.
That's like when we're building our business and you're going through your phone book, you're going thumbing through and you're going, well, I'm not going to write that guy's name down. He's too busy, or he'll never do it. I've talked to him before. And you just eliminate, many of your opportunities to, to share.
True statement. Anybody else?
Second guessing yourself.
Okay. Absolutely. I do that a lot. I'll second guess myself and I go back to the fact I do have that fear of failure or making a bad decision. Absolutely. Counterproductive thinking. I am a test taker. I have plans when I have to take tests, especially military. I have plans I have to take tests. My wife always tells me she's not a test taker. So she goes into the test knowing she's not a test taker, and she struggles just a little bit. I wish I had time to show a video clip, but there's Kirk Gibson, who played for the Dodgers back years ago when he hit that home run in the World Series. And somebody refreshed my memory on the guy for the Red Sox that let the ball roll between his legs. Played first, Bill Buckner.
Bill Buckner, yeah.
Yep. If you YouTube and watch the Bill Buckner interview, they asked Bill Buckner what his fear was. You know what he said? Letting the ball roll between my legs. That's what he said. He said, what's your fear in this? He says, letting the ball roll between my legs. And you look at a Kirk Gibson interview on it, and he says, I envisioned hitting the home run. I wanted to be the guy to step up and do it. See, that's that thinking in your head. Oh, I have this fear, this is going to happen, and your fear comes true. Again, that's that self-regulation. So let's move to optimism. Optimism, hunt the good stuff, fight the negativity bias, remain realistic. Here's one that I struggle with sometimes. Identify what's controllable. What can Richard control? What can't I control? Maintain hope, have confidence, in self and team. And the little icon on this one is kind of that POWMIA icon, where if you've ever seen, interviews of people who were POWs, that they asked them, how did you maintain hope? And they told them how they focused on things and thought about their family and read the Bible and had little pieces that they studied and did all of these things. That's how they maintain hope. So let me ask this question. What is the negativity bias? Anybody got an idea? You're probably not going to be wrong. Negativity bias.
Expecting the worst instead of expecting the best of the two potential outcomes.
Okay. Great comment. Expecting the worst and not expecting the best. Somebody else. Some of y'all awful quiet down here.
I would just say, like, if you're looking at a situation or maybe a person and that automatically brings just negative thoughts about it because maybe a past experience.
Okay. Yeah, past experience could create a negativity bias in us. If you, not to talk politics, but if you look at the news nowadays, the news focuses on negative. Do you know why the news focuses on negative? Because that's a lot of what people want. Does anybody have anybody in their life, and I have people that you struggle to be around because they're negative all the time? You just everything out of their mouth is negative. And I struggle with that because I've got to surround myself with positive people. Now, I'll be around that person, I'll talk to that person, but again, I have to be in control of the conversation. I'm the one who has to strive to pull that person out of where they are. And I'm not going to lie, my mother-in-law, she's a very negative individual and has been ever since I've known. I've been married to Lori almost 22 years now. And she sits around and watches news channels and just gets sucked into everything that's bad that's going on in the world. And it's hard to fight. If I'm feeding that to myself, I'm losing the fight. If I'm feeding the negative that's coming out here, if I'm feeding the negative from people. So you don't have to answer, but if you talk to anybody in this business who basically made you feel like, well, you're stupid for doing this because it's never going to work. Oh, I looked up your company on the internet. Oh yeah, I did my research. I read the one article by one guy who doesn't like anything. Oh, by the way, this particular company I'm involved in is better than this, because I read that. Because I've had 2 or 3 people tell me that. Oh, I did a Google search and this is what I came up with. And here's what I tell people now. And I got trading as, I'm gonna throw it out there. Past performances don't, do future success. But in the last 4 weeks alone, I've averaged 6% on a live account. 6%. I'm not lying. 6%. Okay, that's my goal. And I've been out of the market no later than 11 o'clock on Tuesday. Tuesday at 11 o'clock, I'm out. So when somebody tells me, oh, this ain't going to work, this ain't going to this ain't going to that, I'm like, okay, well, here's my account. Here's what I'm doing. This isn't monopoly money. I'm not trying to blow up a demo account, which I've blown up demo accounts. I ran a demo account, $900 in the hole, and I watched it come out of it because that's what my demo account's for. This is my real live money in here. And I'm gaining right now on the average 6% a week. My account went live in May and I'm just over about 105% growth since May on my account. So when I listen to somebody, oh, that ain't gonna work, you shouldn't be doing this, you're wasting your money, it's a scam, that's illegal, I'd be like, okay, well, right now I'm making 6% on my money. What's that? What's that? 310% annually if I just happen to keep making 6%? And it may or may not happen. I got it. There's weeks things may be different, but that's where I'm at right now. So am I fighting the negativity bias? Yes, because I'm giving them facts on what's going on. And that's that optimism. The difference between an optimistic thinker and a pessimistic thinker. Glass half full, glass half empty. You know what Richard says? I don't care. There's something in there for me to drink. That's how I see it. Optimistic thinkers, man, I'm telling you, better leaders, better health, better focus. There's so much that comes from somebody that's an optimistic thinker versus, well, I researched on the internet and looks like, this is what I read about this person or that person. And it really, truly cracks me up because there's everything bad about the internet, and then you can go on the internet and find everything good too. It depends on what you're drawn to. What news channel do you work to? Watch. It depends on what side of the coin you're on. So moving on, 927. Mental agility. Think flexibly, accurately, thoroughly. Take others' perspective. We'll talk about that in a second. Identify and understand problems. Be willing to try new strategies. Mental agility is what allowed me to listen to this company opportunity when Louis called me. Louis called and talked to me for a hot minute before I decided to join. He talked to me for a while, and I had to decide whether or not this is what I wanted to. And I'm so glad that I did. I've had to decide this is what I wanted to do. But take other people's perspective. Let me tell you an issue I have in the Army right now. I'm 55. The average age of my students are 19. I can't understand, the mind of a 19-year-old in 2020 because it was 1984 1984 when I was 19. We didn't have internet. There's no such thing as cyberbullying. You didn't bully me cyberly. You got punched in the face if you bullied me. I sucker punched a few kids off the school bus back in the day. That's how we handled business. I didn't get all upset. Oh my God, somebody said something about me on Facebook. Um, so it's hard for me sometimes to take their perspective, but here's my question. I always say to them, I wonder how hard it is for them to take my perspective as the old man, to maybe understand where I'm coming from. So that mental agility allows me to take that person's perspective. It allows me to listen to that person and accept what they got going on. All right, moving on. Strength and character. Know your top character strengths. And I know I think I mentioned this, a while back, is you can take the VIA, character strength surveys, 240 questions. And what that'll do is it'll list, there's 24 character strengths, and it's going to list your top 5 character strengths. All right. Mercy is one of my top character strengths. Forgiveness is one of my top character strengths. Humor, I live in Funville. That's my top character strength. I always live in Funville. Sometimes it gets me in trouble because sarcasm is a gift, and sometimes my sarcasm gets me in trouble. But these are some of my character strengths. You know what's number 9 on my list? Leadership. I'm thinking, oh, I'm an awesome leader. Well, according to the questions I answered, it's number 9. But the interesting thing is the difference between 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 may be one question. So here's a question for you. Let's say you struggle with forgiveness. Can you improve how you forgive people? Is that character strength something that we can improve upon? Pick one. Love of learning, love of reading. Can we make them better in our life? That's a question for the group.
Absolutely.
And Mark, how do we do that?
Make a choice.
Ooh. Whose choice is it?
Yeah, I mean, so here's how it rolls. I think, one of the things you can learn from the Bible is that action always precedes feeling. So you choose to forgive. It's not an emotional thing. You make a decision. You want to be a better reader. You want to like reading better. Read.
Absolutely. Yeah, I could change what I'm vested in. I always tell people, if I want to be a better husband, I'm not going to hang around with a 19-year-old single college student. I'm going to hang around with people who've been married a little longer than me. I've been married, I do have an ex-wife. I've been married 14 years with her. And then, of course, I have an awesome relationship with Lori now. I mean, we get along. I mean, we finish each other's sentences. We get along. But here's what we did. We made a decision not to fight and argue. I can't remember the last time we had an argument over anything. Do we agree to disagree sometimes? Absolutely. Does she look at me like I'm crazy? That's a daily basis because I am crazy. But we have grown so much together. But here's what we had to do. Richard had to put his feelings aside, his selfishness aside, things I wanted to do. But I had to make a conscious decision that every day I wanted to make Lori feel like she's the most important person in my life. And that's my number one goal. Well, that's my second goal. Number one goal every day, obviously get close to the Lord, spend time with him, and work on my relationship with the Lord. But here's an interesting thing. If I have a great relationship with God, I'm going to have an awesome relationship with everybody else. And that has enhanced my relationship with my wife because I want to please the Lord. And then it's going to kind of, I'd say, force me to want to please my wife. But there was a time I had to do that. But it's second nature to me now. I get up and do what I got to do. Hence, like Mark said, my character strengths, the ones I'm focusing on, number 24 is reading. I hate to read. I read because I have to read, but it's just not my top strength. Humility is low on the list. I wish if I had the time, I'd have pulled it up. I'm a humble person to an extent, but I'm out front guy, loud, proud, out front. You'll hear me when I walk into the room, right or wrong. That's just who I am. But again, that's that strength in character. Have faith in your character strength. Have faith in my talent. Have faith in my ability. The worst thing that I'm going to hear today is no. That is probably the worst thing I'm going to hear today. in our organization, in our business, in what we are doing, I am trying to help people. Like, listen, hey, you can assist, you can secure a better future. The potential exists to make good money. The potential exists to make $600 a month. Is that good money? Yes. It's 600 a month more than I had last month. You know, we all want to make $25,000, $30,000. We all want to make that much money in a month. We'd all be fooling ourselves if we say that wouldn't be like, we wouldn't like to do that. But I've asked myself this very question: am I willing to do what it takes to make 25 grand a month? Well, if Richard's not willing to do what it takes to make 600 a month, I'm not going to be willing to do what it takes to make 25. So I need to start with the 600 a month. I need to start with the 3 for free. That's the starting point in my life. Focus on what's important to me. And here's the last one. And this, according to me, is the most important. Why? Because I'm an extrovert and I am a connection individual. Connection builds strong relationships. Use positive and effective communication. Telling somebody they're stupid is not positive and effective communication. Develop empathy and tacking. Be willing to ask for help. Ouch. Hey, I need some help. And then support others. If you've spent any time in any of these meetings that we have, and we have 5 meetings, 6 meetings, actually 5 a week. We have Monday, Tuesday, there's Wednesday, Thursday, and then there's Saturday. You spend any time, you'll see a lot of the same names on here. I scroll through here and I see a lot of Sean, Maddie, Mark. I see a lot of the same names that's on a lot of our calls all the time. Now I got it. We all can't get on due to different things, but you know what? We are here to support others. We get on a Monday call, which we already know the business. We may not have anybody on, but we're on the call. Why? Because we're supporting others. It's a connection. It's a community. Somebody may say something that'll like, the light comes on in my head. And that may be the light that comes on in somebody else's head on what you're doing. But that connection builds relationships. If I don't have a great connection with my wife, am I going to have a great relationship? No. If you don't have a great connection with your spouse, you're not going to have a great relationship. You know, and that's really the key to everything that I'm talking about today. And again, in my own opinion, is the connection with people. One of the things I learned in Afghanistan in the first time was 12 months, second time was 9 months. And the second tour, I worked a lot with the Afghan army, and I worked with generals, colonels. I worked with a lot of people. Let me tell you a couple things that they did. One, we never walked in and started talking business. First, we talked about our families. We talked about how things were going, what's going on in your life, how's your family doing, you know, all this. We had this personal conversation before we ever discussed business. And the second thing I found very interesting is they all stopped and had lunch together. It's like they just, now our army, it's hard to do because we still keep moving, but they shut it all down. They all went to the dining facility and they all sat down and they broke bread together. Now, it was so interesting to me that they just put the brakes on and went and sat down and, you know, and had, I got it. We're a generation where it's the microwave. We're all sitting in front of the TV. We got our tray tables. But, you know, I grew up, and I know some of y'all are the older ones on here. We sat down at the dinner table at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and we all sat down and we had dinner. It was a connection. That was our time. And we didn't have cell phones back then. But, you know, nowadays we got the phones to do. You got to put the phone away. You've got to build that connection, have that relationship with people. So I have found in my time that I'm working to build my organization is I'm not jumping right into business. I'm having conversation. If I haven't talked to you in a year or so, the first question out of my mouth isn't going to be, hey, how'd you like to make an extra $600 a month? I'm reconnecting to find out what's going on in their life, how you doing, and then let that conversation work its way out. I still want to share them an opportunity. Well, I want to give them a chance to make 6% a week. You know, our church has $500,000 in an account. And last month during our business meeting, the interest was $136. That's what I said. And let me tell you, we moved the money to a better account to get that. I don't know where it was. I told him, I said, listen, we're 70 miles from Biloxi. We might as well go with that $500,000 to the Beau Rivage and go to the poker table and see if we can't, you know, make more money. So I think my odds are better than what this particular that they're giving to us. And that just made me think about what my account's doing right now. I've made $1,000. I've made money on my account. I'm doing very good in what I've got going on. And you know why? Because Lewis took the time, you know, to give me this opportunity, but it took about 4 months. So we can't go back on. But let me tell you, the first thing Lewis didn't call me up and say, hey man, I got this great opportunity. Is, hey, how's Lori? How's Josh? How's Devin? How's Lindsay doing? How's the grandkids doing? It was that initial connection, because you know why? We connected first. Because maybe Lewis realized it's going to take me a little bit to get to the point where I see what this value is. And I've heard Ryan talk about touch points. What is it? 12 touch points, I think is what it is.
Yeah,
And
7 to 12 before
7 to
they're ready
12.
to make a decision. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're not, like you said, they're not all, I've sent people texts because the Lord's laid that person on my heart in the morning. I just sent them a text and said, hey brother, hey, whatever. Hey, I just want you to know I was praying for you today. And that's it. Nothing else. It puts them in. And you know what I'm doing? I'm building what I am very, very good at. And that is connection. I hate to toot my own horn, but I promise you, when I walk into a room and I just take control of the room, I hate to say it like that, but my wife will tell you and the people around me, I'm the guy that's going to walk in and I'm immediately going to connect with people because I'm an Alabama football fan. So if you're not an Alabama fan, get on board. You know, I'm in the military. You know, I'm married. I got kids. I got grandkids. You know, I like wearing Under Armour clothes. I wear big Invicta watches, and I got big old 63 millimeter Invicta watches that I wear. So when I walk into the room, I'm immediately looking for people that I can connect with. You know, we were out walking around yesterday and a guy passed me that had an Auburn shirt on. He promptly got a Roll Tide, you know, and he gave me a War Eagle. And we just started laughing and kept going. You know what? I made a connection just simply by saying something and being nice and friendly to people. You know, people wearing Florida hats. And I said, finally, a reason I can dislike somebody because I'm an Alabama fan and you're Florida. We laughed, we cackled, and we talked about football, you know, and how awesome football is. That, my friends, is the connection. And I got it. Not everybody's wound up like I am, but that legitimately is that connection. If we're looking to build a long-term organization, we need to look at people that we're connecting with. And that really, truly, to me, is going to help. And then the last thing on here is support others. It's not building a team big and fast. It's about making sure we're here to support. And that's why I love this group, because I know I've emailed Ryan. He's hit me back. I've talked to Alan a couple times. I've talked to Hernan a couple times. There's people, I talked to Lewis. We've emailed each other. I think I'm Facebook friends with almost everybody that's on here, minus, you know, some new folks. I see Tyson jumped on here. A great speech, not speech, Tyson, the other night, but just great wisdom coming from a guy that's, you know, somewhere we're striving to be. But you know what? We have to support others. My goal in the Army is to teach everybody everything that I know. I can't be worried about them stealing my job. About 1.5 years, 2 years, I'm retiring. They can have it. I'm going to go find something else to do. But you know what? Our job is to support others. If you're going to the top and nobody's coming with you, you're struggling. And I'm going to end with this, Ryan. There's a quote from John Maxwell. It says, if you think you're leading and nobody is following you, you're just out for a walk.
Yeah.
And that's all I have. I appreciate the time this morning. I know I went a little long. I told you I'd like to talk, and I apologize. But Ryan, that's all I got, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
That was awesome, Richard. I took a bunch of notes, and man, I mean, golly, you just hit home on so many points. I don't know if you're able to and willing to kind of share that PowerPoint if you need to, if you need to adjust it and take the headers off it, because I know it's designed for a different group. But man, there's just so much great content in there. I'm sure you've noticed Luis has kind of been dropping his slides into the Telegram thread. So let me know if that's something that we can
Okay.
do. I think there's a bunch of us that would love to be able to reference back. Yeah, Rebecca's nodding her head. Mark says absolutely. Yeah, Lucia's giving the thumbs up. So yeah, that would be cool, man, because this was powerful content that you delivered this morning. Loved it. I wrote down a quote, and I'm going to ask you if it's okay, because I kind of paraphrase it, but I don't want to take credit for it. This is something we've all heard before, right? But the way you said it really brought something to light. So we've always heard the phrase, you gotta show up if you want to go up, right? But the way you said about it's always the same people, the same faces, man, you know what jumped into my head, and I'm going to give you credit for it, because the way you said it triggered kind of a different look at that same idea. It's difficult to go up when you habitually don't show up. So I love that, man. This was awesome. Thank you for stepping in for Luis. I don't know if anybody else has any feedback, any questions for Richard, but we take a few minutes before we wrap this up. If anybody else has any thoughts.
I was wondering if you could say again what that test was that you said you took about your character. Like, I had never heard of that one before.
It's if you log into Authentic Happiness,
Nice.
all right, and you log into that site, it's called Authentic Happiness, and there's a lot of different things, and you're gonna take the VIA Character Strength Survey. And what you do is there's 240 questions. And if you take the survey, and I take it annually just because I want to see, answer the questions honestly of who you are, not who you want to be. And if you ever got a question, ask your spouse. Because it's going to be like reading a book. It's going to be like, this is very much like me, or this is like, yeah, no way. I'm not just going to curl up in the fire and just read a book for something to do. So read that question and like, yes, this is very much like me, kind of like me, not like me, not like me at all. Like, yeah, there's no way I'm doing this. And like I said, it's awesome. I do it annually. I actually do it annually because I force it's part of the curriculum that I have my freshmen do, and then they have to bring it to class, and we have to look over everybody's survey so I can help them understand where they go and why they think the way they think. And it helps put in perspective on why, if somebody's struggling with forgiveness and it shows up as number 23, it's very automatic that I can help them understand themselves. So, yep, awesome.
Nice.
Great question. Anybody else got anything?
You made me think of something, Richard, that I feel like is really significant from what you just said. A lot of people will describe themselves as, well, that's just my personality. That's just how I've always been. I don't do that kind of stuff. The truth of the matter is character can change. Personality can change. People think, well, it's my personality. That's how I've always been. Well, you don't have to be that way forever.
Right.
You don't have to be that way for the rest of your life. I don't like doing that. You can learn to like it. If you have good results from doing something you don't like to do, you'll like it eventually. there's so many. Ryan, thank you so much for saying what you said, because everything I'm saying is an echo of what you said, Ryan. The things that you said today, Richard, brought forth a lot of stuff, and that's a good reason for us to have the notes, because I want to go back and be prompted again, and I want to listen to call several times more. So
Awesome. Yeah, I can, Ryan, I can clean them slides up a little bit this week, and then I can, because there's a lot. So this particular deck that I had, this is actually the student study guide where they would take notes. The PowerPoint slide actually has a little bit more in it, but I can clean it all up and delete all the slides out, and I can send it out to you. I can email it to people. I can throw my email out here in the chat real quick, and if you just email me, I can send it to you.
Hey, Rich, it's Tyson. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Man, you know what, I acknowledge you, Rich, for putting together what I call real world, tactics, if you will. Sometimes leadership concepts are very kind of, theoretical, conceptual, you know what I mean? But these are things that people can do every day to say, hey, like being a connector. If you're going to be in sales and marketing, you have to be a connector. And, there's a lot of cliches, but, one of them is closed mouths don't get fed, It's
True.
So, relating to folks, being connector. And then also which is really important too is there's a saying, no one knows how much you care until they know how.
So they know how much you care.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know what I mean. So you can't call, and you can't, and it says call your friends before you need them. So like you said, being related to folks and other cultures, that's a part of their everyday. You know what I'm saying? So I acknowledge your service to the country, buddy, and thanks for great leadership content.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yes, sir.
So I threw my email out in the chat. You guys copy that down. And like I said, I'm Facebook friends with a lot of you, so feel free to, hit it. But Ryan, I'll make sure I get it to you.
That's awesome.
That we can get that out. And like I said, I'll clean the content up. I mean, there's the copyright, but I'll take out anything that's useless, and then just get it out to everybody. Because this is just the 6 companies. This isn't. I mean, there's like 14 different skills on how to talk to people, how to be assertive communication, active constructive responding, which is actually active constructive responding is one of my favorite. And if I ever get a chance again, that'll be the next one that I'll kind of bring to the group on how to respond and talk to people and expand on when somebody brings good news to me, how, kind of that, how do we help them feel better about it? So
I would love it, Ryan, if he could come back and talk about those. That would be excellent.
Absolutely. We'll make sure we coordinate with the Colonel and make that happen for sure.
Hey, you realize I'm bigger than him, right?
What's that?
He's retired and I'm bigger than him. So,
That's right. No. I think he'll be more than happy to make sure that we can.
Oh, yeah.
Coordinate
We'll
that
definitely work that out.
Yeah, no, it was awesome to have you, Richard, and for sure we want you back, man. You're I think you might have just opened the proverbial can of worms, man. I don't know if you knew what you were getting yourself into, but I think there's gonna be a high demand for you to be a regular contributor in this community. So
it's all good, brother. I'm telling you, it's a gift that the Lord gave me. I'm very comfortable standing. I've briefed generals, colonels. I've stood in front of 250, 300 people and gave classes, and it doesn't faze me. I'm probably more afraid of my wife than I am of standing up in front of 250 people teaching a class. So
yeah, I love it. And it's funny because the brand message in the marketplace for Avoria Prime is diversification. And when we're talking about, being financially astute, and we're talking about wealth creation, wealth management, that's an age-old concept. But you know what else is truly even more instrumental when we talk about diversification is in a community that develops people. We need the different come-froms, the different perspectives, the different experiences, and that this community will be dramatically more equipped to equip people by virtue of our diversification of the different contributors who can sow into the individuals in this community with their unique perspectives. And so this is awesome, man. Like I said at the beginning, right? I don't believe in coincidences. The good Lord's always one step ahead of us, and he always knows what he's doing when he orchestrates things. And sometimes that might be something as simple as, oh man, Luis can't be available this morning. Perfect. Thank you, Lord. Right? You got Richard in front of us this morning, and man, there's a lot of unique impact this morning you made, brother. So thank you for being here.
Appreciate it. Thanks again.
All right, everybody, make it a blessed Saturday.